what's up?
How's it going, man?
Going good, man. It's going good. Got my little fan on me. No, it's hot out there. Uh, can you tell me your first and last name and the name of the place, and just kind of talk about the academy there?
Yep. My name is Danny Ruiz. I own and operate Capitao Jiu-Jitsu and MMA in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. We've been operating since September 2007. Um, yeah.
What kind of classes do you guys offer?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, mixed martial arts, capoeira, wrestling, and then me and my GM teach combatives, Air Force combatives, Army combatives, and Special Operations combatives to the operators.
Okay. Are you teaching them only jujitsu or MMA or what?
Uh,
All kinds of stuff?
to the operators, they get a blend of
Yeah.
everything, but it's mixed with yes, and then we have to go over like how to weapon transition to their from their primaries to the secondary weaponry, and to when to do that, So
Okay, cool. What about the age groups there? What's like
I
the
mean,
youngest?
the youngest is 4. So officially, if you go to our website, officially we start at 5, but we started at 4. My kids started at 4, and so I it's a rule that of course my phone rings. Uh, that
Good, you're good.
we'll let a 4-year-old try the class and see how mature they are. My GM, he's the head kids coach. He's a phenomenal coach all around, but he's like 10 times better at coaching kids than I am. So if gives them the nod, then I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. They'll try it. We've had good in both. We told kids, yeah, they're not ready. Come back in a year, or man, they're really good. So but we let them try it, and
Yeah,
then you get
yeah.
kids and then adults. I think the oldest instructors I have, Teddy just turned 70, and Ken's in his 60s, and then um, the oldest students are in their 50s, I believe.
I love it when I hear like, older people doing it. I think it's really good for their mind, right? That's a part of
Everything,
it, of course. But also like their hips, right? It's good for like staying limber, right?
big time. And I just remember the more science comes out, it's like the more muscle mass you have, the more um, the fitter you're gonna be just to live. Um, Being able to do, we work squats, but the squat is just sitting up and down. Being able to, as you get older, being able to just do functional daily chores and tasks. So I think it's a big key component in livelihood is fitness. So
Mm-mm. Yeah, talking about muscle mass, it's kind of like it helps your joints, right? That's a part of the science, right? That's coming out.
yeah,
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 I mean, like as a younger person having more muscle mass, it kind of just carries over into when
well,
you're
we think,
getting older and
like my son's right now about to turn 16, so he's all about new gains every week and this, then I'm like, I'm just trying to maintain, but I just turned 48. I'm not. You're trying to get all these gains. I'm just trying to maintain. And I'll mess
yeah, yeah.
around and go a little bit up here and there, but it's mostly maintenance right now. I used to fight MMA. I don't
Well,
fight.
same with me.
So I rarely compete. I still roll. 3, 4, maybe 5 times a week, depending on how my body feels. But it's just maintenance.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
What do you think is like a good amount of days to train for an adult? I
Well,
know it varies, but like just somebody who's not really competing, let's just say that. I
well,
mean, what's the difference in like 1 to 3 versus 3 days a week? One versus
so
three, maybe put it that way.
one, you might as well do none. Well, I mean, honestly, you're not getting anything if you're doing once a week. I would say at minimum it's 2 days a week if you're trying to see a little bit of progression. I would say 3 is optimally, depending on your schedule. I got some savages that come in 5 days a week, and these guys are my age or older. And sometimes they do, like Ivan is a former Green Beret warrant officer, and he's one of my newer brown belts, and he's about a year or two older than me, and he does the 5 a.m. classes. He'll come in every once in a while to my 11 a.m. classes, and then I'll see him every once in a while on night classes. So he does that three, 4 times a week. So we're talking about 8 practices, up to 8 practices a week for him. Um,
Mm,
he's a savage, but you really got to learn how to listen to your body, um, because you're gonna get injured if you're going that much
overdoing.
with anything. There's too much of anything. So
Okay. I'm wondering if like another way you're more likely to get injured is not doing it enough. You know what I'm saying? Like like kind of
yeah, that's a
um yeah, like doing it once a week, like
I don't know. Well, yeah, but I mean, you have to have really good training
if you're
partners.
like shocking your body too much each week.
Yeah, I just think you feel like crap, but not necessarily injuring yourself from there, unless you're doing like super strenuous stuff. Like if you're doing like a fundamentals class, you're doing technique, you're doing warm ups, and then you don't. In our fundamental class, we don't roll, um, meaning we don't go live sparring, in our fundamentals class. All the other ones do to the varying degrees. Like I'm not gonna tell, like if one of your classes, if you do
Okay.
a comp class, man, you're gonna get your ass kicked because everybody's in it going hard in the
Yeah.
paint because they either are looking to compete, they have competed, or want to stay in that competition uh, um, fitness level. So if your one day a week is comp class, that's the whole different thing. But if your one day a week is like uh, fundies, like you're not gonna get injured. Yeah, like but if your
Sure.
one day a week is, we have one of the new guys, same situation like I mentioned before. His daughter's been training us for years, and he's like, I got to do it. So he first day he jumps into a Monday comp class, and I'm like, did you tell him to do that? And he's like, no, I thought you told him. I was like, why did you do that? And he did. He hurt his shoulder. He was like, I was so stupid, and I was like, dude, don't do that. That was not
Well,
the
I think that's a good lesson for somebody new, it's kind of like really ask about what is being done in each class, right? And then you can kind of go from there.
big time.
If you're not doing it like at a regular 2 to 3 to 4 times a week, if you're doing it like 1 time a week, it might matter, what kind of classes you're doing. Yeah.
Big time. And if you're a hobbyist, which most people are to varying degrees, now we have hobbyists in there that go after it, and then you have competitors, and you can tell that there's a very distinct difference between the two. You got guys that
Mhm.
always doing the complex, always going hard, they're always trying to advance, always trying to. Yeah, they're not really in there. They're better role if you let them know, hey, I'm not trying to get crazy. I'm trying, but usually they want to. Like so, if you're a hobbyist, stay away from those guys because they're trying to get after it.
Yeah. So,
And,
go back as far as you want, as far as like, why did you get into jujitsu? We're at like, we got like 13 minutes. I know you got to go. So we'll
well,
kind
I mean,
of
yeah,
make
yeah.
it kind of quick as much as you want, but like kind of, if you can hit on kind of like, why did you get into it? If you want to go through your story, if you want to tell us like, how did the place get started? And also kind of like, just tell me kind of like what jujitsu has done for your life kind of thing.
Okay, all right. So I started, as the kids say, in the late 1900s in jiu-jitsu. So my first Brazilian jiu-jitsu class was 97. But by that time I wrestled. I did some Japanese jiu-jitsu and judo with my uncle. Uh, but my first classes, I got strangled by my GM that's with me, Daniel Silva. I remember I took him down easily, um, and then got loop choked, and then I wrist locked him takedown, and I got armbarred. And I was like, yeah, I want to sign up. He's like, you're not gonna wait till after class. I said, no, I want to do it right now because that little dude just folded me up, and I didn't know. I had no idea at the time what he did, and I said, I want to learn that. So did that. I had my first MMA fight in 1998. Won that. Um, Competed a lot in jiu-jitsu. Got my blue belt in September of 1998. Did a lot of competitions back then from 97, 98 to 2002 or three. we had the Pan Ams of BJJ was in Orlando, and now they're back over there. But they were in California for a couple decades. So we did them
Mm.
right next to Orlando. It was like, oh, it's a 15-minute drive, so everybody was competing in that one, and we just competed a lot. Literally once a month, sometimes 2 or 3 times a month. We had a
Wow.
tournament within the state of Florida, within driving distance, and we had a good group of like
God,
40
yeah.
dudes that would just all we did was just we weren't 20s and we just compete, working. I did some bouncing, I did all kinds of stuff going to college. Excuse me. And then didn't really like college so much. So I decided to join the Air Force. 23, and then they put me in this area. I got stationed at Eglin Air Force Base. And then I took over the jiu-jitsu club there. Um, that was in 2003. I was a purple belt then. Yeah, knew a purple belt then. Yeah, I had my purple belt about a year, and then did my time there, and then I met, competing and in the area, meeting a lot of people, and I advanced the club to an actual business where I was charging people. Um, had a partnership with the base, but it was very limiting on hours and stuff. And then I started fighting again. Um, but it was very limiting because they had guys there that were there for 10 years. So they had seniority and on the best times and schedules during the week. So I got tired of that, and then I met Rick Simmerly, which is my kickboxing coach. Did a lot of judo with him, and then one day he's like, I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna start fighting again. He's like, well, I used to do a little fighting. I can help you out with some stuff. And it turns out he was like a national champion. Fought Benny Jet. He is one of my biggest. Uh, he went the distance with Benny Jet, and I teamed up with a bunch of guys who opened up our first location, like I said, in September of 2007, while on active duty. Um, Ran that academy until I got off active duty in February of 2009. And it was rough, man. There was times where so I worked the mid shift, so that's at 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So there was really no life. And then I
Mm.
everything worked out. I got in bed, showered like 8 a.m., slept from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., woke up 8, went to the gym to open up talk classes from 5 to 9 or 8, depending on the day.
Wow.
Go home, shower, pack my lunch, go to work 11 p.m. That was my life for a couple of
Wow.
years as I trying to grow um, the business, like you said, the grind. So I understood that. And then
Yeah.
it was my schedule was so tight. I didn't even have time for dating. I went online back then. It
Yeah.
was the weird thing, and I met my wife at Match.com, and
Okay.
and then started dating back in 2008. Um, so got off active duty, went to reserves, and that's when I already had a couple fights, but now I felt like active duty was kind of holding me back as far as like when you're in active duty, your first and foremost job is and priority is the job, understandably so. So when I became a reservist, I feel like being in the military, and I ended up doing 21 years. But I wanted more free time, so where I was able to just 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, and I did a little more than that, being a traditional reservist, but because I was in a local area with the mission, but um, then I started really diving into the MMA world and fighting the local shows, from here to Biloxi, Mississippi, and South and Tampa and stuff. Fought a bunch of times in Tampa and Biloxi, and had a really good fight team. So like in 23, from 2010 to 2014, we went like 132 and 8 or something like that. So we were,
What?
yeah,
Wow.
we had a good fight team back then, and competing a lot. It was crazy. Like in 5 year, it was like 5 or 6 years. I can't remember from the time we opened. It was a lot of a lot of fights. Not me, just the whole team in general. So
Yeah, I know, but still.
yeah, yeah. So and then growing competitors and guys that wanted to do jiu-jitsu more and compete. And so our first world champions was Paul Dominich and Tom. What the heck I can't remember Tom's last name. One of my black, but he's played in the NBA against Michael Jordan and everything. He's a giant human being.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and I'm blanking on another dude over.
Everybody remember Michael Jordan?
Yeah. Why can't I
Time is
remember
flying.
last name? Um, so started doing that more and more, and then I re- I coached a U.S. team of amateurs to fight in a tournament in England against the Brits, and we kicked their ass. So it was two of my personal guys on that team. It went pretty well. In 2014, then I retired from fighting that same year earlier. Um, and then so retired from fighting, still in the reserves. I retired from the reserves 3 years ago, and uh, and now I'm just teaching full time and
Yeah.
living jiu-jitsu life. So my son's full throttle into it. He joined the wrestling team. I coach. I'm an assistant coach at Destin High School for wrestling. Um,
Okay.
so that's pretty much it, man. That's
What
how I.
what about like what I mean when you I know you just gave us your whole story, but when you got into jujitsu, it looks like you really went full throttle. What in the world was it doing for you, personally at that time? What was the feeling that jujitsu was giving you? What was that positivity?
Well, it gives as a young man, it gives you some kind of outlet of energy. And jiu-jitsu back then was a lot different than now. Right now, even in my gym, you got the jiu-jitsu class, which is a lot different than other places. But it's just grappling. In jiu-jitsu, this is just striking, but guys don't teach it anymore because they weren't exposed to it. They just believe it's just grappling. But there is striking. There's kicks and punches and all that stuff, setup stuff. Matter of fact, even the point system in sport jiu-jitsu is based on how much damage I can do. Like mount, I could do a lot of damage. Side mount, I could do a lot of like it's based on how much damage you can do in
Okay.
a real fight. But guys don't even know that. There's black belts that don't even know that that's where the rule system came from. But for me, it was like a sense of belonging. And as a young man full of piss and vinegar, give you something to get outlet. So multiple times a week, we're rolling with slaps and then we're doing clinch drills against gloves. That was a regular thing. So now at my gym, when we do a cycle of self-defense week, that we'll do some of that. But that was every week we did that stuff back in the 90s. It was a way different time. I would say back then the black belts were tougher than they are now, where but they weren't as technical as they are now. Like the black belts today are way more technical
Sure.
and knowledgeable in different positions and systems. There weren't as much systems back then, but guys were tougher. They knew
Yeah.
way less moves and techniques, but the stuff they knew they were solid at fundamentals and for fighting. And just so having a sense of understanding and comfort and confidence in yourself was the big keys I take away, along with a group of guys that we traveled together, we friends, we watched fights. I remember staying up till like 2 in the morning to watch the Pride Fighting Championships with all my jiu-jitsu buddies back in the day.
Yeah.
And on a Sunday, just Sunday 2 a.m. We're not partying. We're literally staying up to watch our buddies fight
Yeah.
in Japan. So uh,
Oh, that's fun, man. Yeah. I mean, you're essentially trading dating for a good while there for jujitsu, right?
yeah, yes, yeah, it
Yeah,
was
essentially all social life for that. That was your social life. I mean,
that
I
was
guess that speaks to it. What a part of what it was doing for you. It was a social thing, right?
it was a big social thing. You even like if we would go out somewhere, we'd go out to let's say a bar or a club. There'd be a jujitsu guy that we know that he's bouncing over there. So we get the connections that we just know from seeing him compete. And even if our teams were rivals, that was only in the city. Every time we ran into each other out, we'd coach each other, we'd be friends, we'd hang out, we'd go eat, get outside, eat, blah blah blah. yeah, is the
Yeah.
definite uh, aspect of that. And even today, it's the biggest thing. Like I tell folks, it's like the biggest thing you can get out of it is that social. Adults making friends is very difficult. Like kids, they make
Yeah.
friends quite easily. Like, hey, you talk, oh, cool. Adults, where do you have friends? You have to have clubs and interests, but you do in jiu-jitsu. You're a limited crew of people that have the same, interests. We like to get play murder yoga and try to strangle each other, and then have friends. So um,
Yeah, I think you get more picky as you get older, right? As far as who your friends are.
it is. Well, you got a life and you got your time. You live in with your family and work and all this
Like, is
stuff.
this person really worth my time? That kind of thing, yeah. But if you're
Exactly.
forced into it because you're doing something like that.
Exactly. So I always I always tell my all my friends that I have either thrown me, strangled me, armbarred, or kicked or punched me. If they haven't done that, I don't trust you. So
What about, there, at the academy, why do people love it so much there?
at our place,
What do you think is special about the place? Yeah,
that's a loaded question.
sure.
I think it's because we you get to forget everything and it's authentic. Like you come into the gym, it's authentic. Like I don't sugarcoat everything. Everybody knows where they stand with me. I give them 100%. If you're giving me 100%, I'm going to give you 100% of everything I got, mentally, physically, everything. And we do so much. You know, I didn't realize when you become a black belt, you have to be a dietitian, a coach, a psychologist, a counselor. You workout guru, all this stuff, and that's what you get. Um, it's one of those things where I was listening to, I'm not gonna say his name, but he's a high level jiu-jitsu coach, and just talking about how much coaches he was talking about specifically, but all of us in general, we travel, do all this stuff for our guys, and we're not getting paid to coach at a let's say at a tournament. So I drive to
Yeah.
like in July, we're gonna go coach at Kids Pans. There's nobody paying me. That's how the gym's already. There's no extra money that I'm getting paid or I'm paying my guys to go out there. It's we do it for the passion, and if this person's passionate and a group of guys are passionate, then we're gonna go there happily and do it. Um, at the detriment sometimes to um, our personal lives. So like
Mm.
I only do that for the few that really that show that they're passionate about competing and really want to put their all into it. If they're half-assing it, they're not. So I think that people sense that and they really appreciate the genuine camaraderie that we have at the gym. Because once you're in it, it's family. So
Yeah.
I think that's
Well,
why.
thanks for your time, man. Thanks for being on and explaining everything. You've got a cool story, man. You've gone to a lot of places and done a lot of stuff. I mean, that's a lot. Uh, to wrap up, can you kind of sum up, like, if you were just telling somebody who's thinking about getting into jujitsu or their kids, what would you tell them about jujitsu, what it can do for them?
I think for kids, it is the biggest booster of confidence and helps them deal with life. As we know, as adults, life can be tough and chew you up and spit you out. And in jiu-jitsu, that'll happen daily on the mats. And if you can understand and concisely come up with formulate a plan, it's a microcosm of life where you can um, daily come up with a different plan. Oh, I got my butt kicked yesterday, but I'm going to work on X, Y, and Z. And the same thing in life and help you, and it also is the best therapy. When you get on a match, you you see the adults, they might have all these issues, but when you get in a match, you have no time to focus other than the guy trying to strangle you. You can't you can't
Okay.
think about anything. So that unplugged from the rest of the world, you might be pulled a million different directions, but in those 5 minute rounds and in that class when you're trying to focus on the lesson, you're not thinking about anything else, and so you can unplug from all the stresses of the world and just get your jiu-jitsu therapy on. So those are the two big
Kind of just like
takeaways.
when you're on your phone, right? Unplugging. Same
Yeah,
thing.
exactly,
But you're getting
exactly.
fit.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I would say.
Never thought of it though.
two big recommendations are for.
Well, buddy, thank you so much. I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you so
Likewise.
much for your time and for sharing your story, bro.
No problem. Take care. Bye bye.
All right. See you, Danny.
Bye bye.
Hey, how's it going today?
Good, good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, man. I mean, it's right after this is my last podcast of the day. I'm going to go outside and do some yard work and sweat my little butt off, I guess. I've had it good the
Yes.
past like several hours in here doing podcasts with a little fan on me. Um, can you tell everybody your first and last name and the name of the academy and kind of go into where like the classes you guys offer and just tell us about the academy, what you guys do there?
No, yeah, I'm Ricky Pike. I own All Heart Jiu-Jitsu in Senatobia, Mississippi. We have an MMA program. We have do jiu-jitsu. I've had guys fight bare knuckle boxing and bare knuckle boxing, whatever. We'll try to help anybody, whatever goal they want to get to. We have experienced people on the staff, and so like myself, I've been doing jiu-jitsu like 18 years. And in martial arts for since I was 15, so 30, 31, I guess. It's around there,
Okay.
32. So a long time been doing martial arts. For a, for a little bit, it was off and on for a little bit, but I'll get to but I've been doing 18 years straight uh, and then like I said, I've been with the gym, coaching down here in Mississippi since 2019, 2018, something like that. So
Okay. And so, what about the, what are the age groups you guys have there?
we have we got it's all matters on the child and stuff like that. I've had like 4 year olds and stuff like that. We got 5 year olds and try to do 5 years and up, but
I mean, up there.
each kid is different. Like, parent comes in, hey, I got this 4 year old. What do you think? I was like, well, bring them in. Let's see. Because, every kid is different. Some kids are more mature, some aren't, they're just not, it's, it's each kid. So like
As
we
far as
had
when
the
they're
other day.
starting, are you in order for them, in order for them to, let's say they're 4 years old, in order for them to start, in order for them to be ready to start at your academy, what kind of things are they able to do? So what I'm asking is, are on the spectrum, like, what are they tumbling? Are they rolling? Like, yeah, what are they doing at the very, very beginning there?
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna learn our movement drills right off the bat. That we warm up with the movement drills and stuff like that. The roll over the shoulder and the shrimp and the Granby rolls and stuff like that. We're gonna get a movement where they actually doing the movements and stuff like that, and let's put them in the class and work with them. Just especially with that young, you got to be patient. You got to be patient with kids anyway. But especially that young, you just have to be a little extra patient. And, sometimes I'm able to put them with somebody, get a little more experience. So that helps a little bit so they can kind of help guide them a little bit so they're not like two brand new people together. I don't like doing that,
Mhm.
unless I have to. Stuff happens where, but if they got, brand new person, I also do, sometimes it helps, especially for the younger ones. And I kind of allow the parents and stuff like that, like, hey, you want to be in here with your child, come on the mats and help.
Um,
That way the child is like, hey, he's got the comfort, dad's there and he's doing moves on dad. And so it's kind of like you're kind of more playing in like the living room type deal, in the mindset. So you're able to, and then eventually
that's
it's,
nice to do that. Yeah, I haven't heard that much.
yeah, I think I'm kind of unique on that, but I do like, hey, come on and do that. That way, you know, I know you're like, hey, you want to pay to have somebody teach your kids. We're like, but you are, but it's, I'm trying to. my goal is to get the parents to interact too. Maybe eventually they'll start training. And that way I have families to do that. Father and son and stuff like that actually train together, and so that dynamic, and they grow and on the mats together, and they that's part of their bonding kind of thing. They get to spend time with each other. And so I think it's important, and like I said, it gives an opportunity for the parents, like, I kind of like this, and I could probably do this, and then step them up to maybe, hey, we'll try the adult class. Huh? I'll give you a discount if you want to come and try to do adult class. Come on. And sometimes
Mhm.
it works, sometimes it don't, but sometimes it's just, they just like being helping with the kids and stuff like that, and get out there and let the kids do the warm up drills. Like, all right, you do the move on me, and then sometimes we move them around and put them with other kids, and it's a dynamic, and each day is, it's flexible and it's different because you never know, how the kids, having a
Yeah.
good day or bad day, or it's a little kid, you never know what you're gonna get, so you just kind of roll with the punches.
I bet, the parent being there the first day, if they do that, I mean, it helps you also see if the kid's ready because the kid's more comfortable, right?
Mhm.
With the parent not helping, maybe they're just being shy when they usually wouldn't be shy. So, but
Right,
yeah,
right.
I haven't heard that yet at all. Not saying that nobody else does it 100%. I'm sure some people do it. But yeah, I haven't ever heard of that. That's a good idea, having them go out there the first day. Um,
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I even inquired, like, if they want to do more, just, hey, they wanna come help, I'm cool with them being out there, and helping with their kid. I wanna be part of it, I can't, you know I'm like, "Okay, cool." You know you wanna be part of it, but I don't have time to train, like, with adult class or whatever, "Okay, just come on out here and work with your son or work with your daughter," whatever it. And I've had several parents do that and stuff, and they take, I've had some parents that do it for a little bit, they do a couple classes, whatever, with the kid, and then they step back out and sit on the chair and watch, and then have a day they just wanna be out there with them and go on, take your shoes and
that's
socks
nice.
off, yeah, take your shoes and socks off and get on the mat, and so
Did do the kids, at any age, do the kids ever train in kickboxing or anything? Any kind of striking at all?
I haven't done it in a little bit. I was for a little bit doing. Probably it's been over a year now since I've done it. I'll be honest. I probably need to do another class here and there. We've been trying to get like ready for tournaments and stuff like that. But I do like to have, having the kids have an understanding of how to throw a punch. Hopefully, to hope to God that they never have to have that understanding where they had to use it. But
Yeah, sure.
I'd rather them have an understanding like, hey, you can, this is how you properly throw a punch. This is how you block somebody's, throwing wild haymakers or whatever, and show them how to, block and go back up the pipe or something like that, and so we do that every from now to time to time. We have some of the older kids, they actually come to the adult class and stuff like that. They do both. And so they're right there on that age, they're big as, they're 13, 14, but they're big as adults, so they,
Mhm.
but they do, they like we have some, like one, his brother's in the kids class too. So he helps with the kids class and trains, and then he'll do adult class too. And so he gets the best of both worlds. He gets to, fine tune his skills, you know, and then turn around and go to adult class and then really get to be pushed and
Yeah.
get the level up part.
I bet, well, I was gonna ask, like, what is the ins and outs of striking classes, whether it be kickboxing or Muay Thai or anything? What's the ins and outs is what are the ins and outs of it of why that is not crazy prominent with kid classes? Is there just not as much of a demand there with the kids for certain reasons?
Well,
Um, I
uh,
know some places do it, but it's definitely not the case where everybody does it. I think
mm,
most don't have kickboxing classes for kids, even if they have an MMA program.
Yeah, like, especially this, Pacific Jiu-Jitsu schools, of course, they're not gonna have, a lot of times they won't have that striking. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess it's each mindset. A lot of them, if hey, they want to do, striking, they, do a karate or taekwondo or something like that. But like I said, well, I don't break off and have a specific class. I just do it from time to time. And we were for like a little while. We were like every Monday. Monday was, our striking class. We had some kids that really, really loved it. Um, so we did for a little while, like every Monday for a minute, and then we had some tournaments come up, like a bunch of them. So we're like, all right, we'll take a break on striking, and we need to focus on our jujitsu, get it ready for tournament wise, and just haven't swung back. But um, I think just it's one of them things. There's a lot of places want to focus on like one thing, and that's it, and which they're really good at. There's some schools, hey, they focus on just the jujitsu and they're really good at it. To me, is I've always, wanted the balance, you know, hey, yes, if you can take somebody down, you can take care of yourself or whatever. But what happens if you can't take somebody down? Look, they have a little understanding or they're just that much stronger than you or whatever. All right. Now, what do you do if you're in a self defense situation, and I'd rather have, and sadly, I've actually had some of my students, I had one of my students for sure. He had, he put a kid to sleep, because
Oh,
he's
okay.
harassing them and stuff like that, and had to use what he learned. And this is day and age and stuff like that, is we had to, they, to me, like I said, it's good for them to have an understanding of what they can do, like sports jujitsu is beautiful and it's amazing and everything, and be able to do some of the things, but certain techniques you can't you can't do in the street,
Yeah.
whatsoever,
Yeah.
or you'll die. I've seen some of the people jump in and like even MMA and try to do like some sport jujitsu moves and get TKO because they were grabbing at their foot, and you know it's one of them things. There's proper self defense jujitsu, and there like kind of more traditional jujitsu, and then there's sport jujitsu, which like I said is the reason the sport has grown and made such bounds, and everybody's there. Which I tell people all the time. I say, y'all are blessed. Like when I started, it was like blue belts teaching classes. We didn't have black belts. It was you seen a brown belt or a purple belt. It was amazing, and And then I think right after I started, like I think my instructors got their purple belt. So it's like right there, you know,
Mm.
or maybe they're purple and just got their brown. I forget. It's been so many years ago now, but
And this was back in what years? What?
2008.
Okay. Okay, so not that long ago.
It's not that long ago. Um, but yeah, there was a lot of schools where, and there's still schools to this day, like they have blue belts teaching classes, which
Mm.
is all right. But having the opportunity, like so many schools now have multiple black belts on the mat. Like I have me and Mr. Fisher's on the mat all the time, and so you look at the combination. We've got 40 something plus years of jujitsu experience between the two of us.
Mm.
He's got like 23, 24. I mean, he's got more than I do, and so being able to see that kind of knowledge and have that knowledge on the mats with you all the time, it's a blessing, for these brand new students, the ones coming up and everything. So
Yeah, and of course they don't know. Yeah, they don't know the
no,
difference.
no, no, no. They're like, "Oh, this is okay, cool." And I was like, "I don't think y'all realize how lucky you really are," But you know, um, but yeah, I do believe there's just that we hit to have. I think a lot of people are going away from it, just because of the I've we I've had students or people come in. Well, what about this? Blah blah blah. They see a video on YouTube. It's amazing, fancy move, whatever. I'm like, that's cool, but we need to get this basics down first and then I'll show you that later. I'll get to it. You know, you're not ready for that yet. I have to be, honest. Like, hey, you're not ready for that yet.
Mm.
Um, because you need that good foundation, and you have to have truly, I believe, there's some that, I have a proper like self defense. jujitsu, like a Vale Tudo, like guard type jujitsu, where you can control and keep yourself safe. And, like if in MMA or in just a fight in self defense anyway, and, and then still be able to turn around and switch and go, oh, okay, you can go to tournaments and have fun and, do sports jujitsu and whatever you want to do. But there's got to be a balance to it, I think.
The masks in the background, I can't get over them. I'm just in love.
Appreciate it.
Where did all they come? Did they come from Hobby Lobby? I mean, where did you get all those?
Some of them some are actually really, really old, like this one right. Let's see, my hands backwards. This one right here. Like it's really old. He's probably like 80 years old, probably from Ghana. A lot of them from Ghana and stuff like that. Of course, I have MMA fighters, so I travel around for MMA fights, and so everywhere I go, my new hobby is to go to thrift stores and in the area
Okay.
and see what they got, because every area has unique items, So whenever I go out of town, I always stop and find an antique store, a thrift store, or something like that, and just see what they got, and if they got a mask or something that's $30 or less, I'll buy it and add to my collection.
That's so cool. Yeah, what a good idea. Like to go
It
to specifically a thrift store, yeah, because that's,
mm.
actual items that have been passed down a lot of times.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. I've seen, like, a mask and some actually spears from Africa but they want, like, $300 for it, like, it was from, like, the 1800s and stuff. I'm like, that's too rich for my blood. I mean,
Cool to see.
cool to see
I'll take a
everything, but
pic,
yeah, yeah, for sure. And then I started doing the boomerangs the other day. Started collecting boomerangs too, but, it's
Yeah.
just fun, because I do a podcast too. I do a little bit of anything, everything. It's anything is possible podcast, and so I have fun. So that's my background. So it's kind of cool talking points. So people you come on and all of a sudden they like makes them stop and look and for a little bit if I'm live
Yeah.
streaming with that, he's like, oh wait a minute, what the
It's
hell is
true.
behind you? I've had people like, is that surfboards or what? Especially if I'm on a
Yeah.
big panel or something like that with multiple people, and I'm like, no, they're masked, and we zoom in for they can see, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And
Have you
um,
gone to Africa a lot or
no, I have not. I've
just haven't?
farthest I've been is Guam.
Okay,
And-
got it.
but I haven't been to Africa. It's just one day I picked up one. I mean, hey, that's kind of cool, and I had them around my fireplace, and then seriously, one night um, at my old house, I was like, I'm gonna bring them in for the background for the podcast. So like midnight, I'm running around here grabbing masks off the wall and putting them where I want to put them and stuff like
Oh,
that.
like
And
right before the day before the podcast.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
yeah. That's how it
and then
happens, right? You get an idea and then you got to do it.
yeah, I do. I'm one of them people. And
I am too.
then where I'm at now, I'd actually built this. Took a building, one of them portal buildings, and made a studio out of it. Sheetrocked everything. Put a tin on the ceiling and all that kind of fun stuff, and made a studio out of it. So.
Oh man, that's amazing. Well, go back as far as back as you want and tell us, basically why you got into jiu-jitsu and tell us how and just tell me like your whole story leading up to the academy.
Yeah, like, of course, I'm born in '79, so I'm an '80s child. Really, all the martial art movies is just a amazing time for martial art movies. In the '80s and stuff like that. And then, of course, like I watched the Bruce Lee's and Chuck Norris movies, and I
Yeah.
always into martial arts. I always want to do it. Then I started doing karate when I was 15. And finally found my mom took me to a church, and I started doing it there. And then on the jujitsu side, I actually back in '98, I actually went to a jujitsu tournament. It was a striking. It was like a karate tournament, and then it had a grappling tournament. It didn't say jujitsu; it was just grappling. And I'm like, I can do that.
Yeah.
And I'm just straight up, I can do that. And so I signed up. My karate instructor was mad at me. because he's like, well, that's not what we do, Ricky. You did really good, but that's not what we do. I won second place, not just on raw stubbornness and and the final match for gold, that I was, shooting for first went 3 time limits, and finally I just wore out, and dude got mount, and it was over.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I was like, man, that'd be cool because, and then watching, the old hoist videos and stuff like that from UFC 1s and 2 on the VHSs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing those, I'm like, I remember watching them and I'm like, the karate guy is going to win. Karate guy is going to do this. And then all of a sudden, hoist like ties everybody up and puts them to sleep and taps them out. I'm like, I need to learn that too. And I went for a while and my karate instructor retired and I kind of aimlessed around for a while and jumped from school to school for karate and taekwondo and just never found a fit again. Um, and then life happened. So I trained at home and I had always had a punching bag. I always, tried to keep my ability up, but I didn't get to actually like train like I want to. And then the day after, right there at Christmas time in '08, I turned around, I was at a Baskin Robbins of all places, and I seen a little flyer for a martial arts school. And I called them. They're like, well, we're going to have an open mat tomorrow, whatever. You can come on down. Like, okay, cool. So of course, the day after Christmas,
This
only
was
people
what year? What year?
2008,
Okay, got it.
and of course, the only people that's training the day after Christmas is all the killers and hardcore, and they're really. And I got in there and I got beat up, and I really did. I was like,
You
oh,
didn't
this is
think of that,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, this is cool. I got beat up. Um,
Okay.
they could teach me
Yeah.
something. Yeah, they could teach me
Right.
something. 'Cause I had gone to karate schools and I gone here to this school and I had some bad experiences and truly I remember I went to one like right after I got my instructor retired and they're like, well, you can be a black belt in 18 months. I was like, it took me 3 years to get my green belt. And they're like, well, come on back this night. Of course, it's all the high belts. And then we sparred and and I really just walked the floor with everybody there. And I was like, man, this ain't no good for me. I was like, this is,
Yeah.
so I just kind of like, whatever, and I left and I did that for a while. And then I go train with some people. And I went to one place and I trained because my friend of mine, and I trained there for several months. And they're like, all right, we want you to spar, Ricky. And I was like, okay. So, well, they put me against like the second in command, I guess, the guys, and me and him went back and forth. We went toe to toe across the mat. He hit me, I hit him, back and forth, and then the owner of the gym, whatever the instructor was like, "All right, stop." Had me turn around, was telling them stuff to do, and then we went back. Then we started sparring again, and I was still catching him, so he got mad, and he's like, "All right, you gonna spar me?" And I was like, "Okay, I don't care. I'll spar anybody. It's gonna make me better." I've always been that way. I'm like, hey, I don't care how big you are. It don't matter. I took on we were at a little side note, I guess. I went, I was at a Italian festival with a friend of mine, with his gym. We were doing like demos all day long. They were hip tossing me and stuff and, on the mats. And this guy he had another booth over there and he'd been talking to us, but, he finally got him enough drinks in. He was like, I want to roll a Mike. I want to roll a Mike. I said, Mike went to the bathroom. I said, but I roll with him. The guy was like 6 foot, 300 pounds. And so I was like, hell, I'll roll with you. I don't care. And which for the listeners, I'm 5'7", 160 pounds. So, and I'm like, I don't care. And we rolled for a little while and I got on his back and flattened him out and hit him with a rear
Oh,
naked choke. And, like I said, I don't care, if you beat me, you beat me. If you don't, it is what it is. And, that's what, in turn, like, when I finally did, get to, like, for like with that instructor, and me and him, get back on that, that instructor, me and him went back and forth. And I remember I caught him with the uppercut, and then he started just swinging on me, and I'm like, man, I'm in a church. If I swing on this guy back, I said, we're going to be fighting for real in front of his students. I was like, this ain't worth it. I was like, he ain't gonna hurt me. So I just covered up, put my arms up, and just let him, beat on my arms for a second. And then he's like, you were trained wrong. I'm like, I was trained wrong. I just went toe to toe with you and your other instructor. I'm like, man, get out of here. And my friend that actually brought me there to train, she left. She's like, man, this is, I can't believe they did what they did. I'm like, I can't either. But I was like, I ain't fighting in a church, unless I have to. But in turn went to '08, and like I said, I found a gym, and it was like a family again. Big dysfunctional family is always this and that, but it was good. I got back into training. I was like, I'm gonna do this. I don't care. And that's what I've been ever since.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you went from, karate to jujitsu, kind of what were your thoughts at the time? What were hitting your mind? What was hitting your mind as far as, comparing the two?
Um, the karate, just that differences, for knowing, I can use my feet, I can use my stuff like that. But if I do hit the ground, like without that, I'll be in trouble. And
Yeah.
it really humbled me a little bit, seeing that, how, and I've had people come in later on, like, man, in my gym, they're like, man, I thought I thought I was tough, I thought I was badass. And then I come in here and I'm like, I realize I'm not, I'm not, and then they work really hard, work themselves, um, it's like I used to go to a friend's gym, and we used to do, we would do 10 minutes of rolling, then we do boxing rounds, then we do kickboxing rounds, and then we do MMA rounds like afterwards. Like it was back to back to back.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one guy come in there today, and he was a little older than me, but he was just a Muay Thai kickboxer, and that dude had 3 legs. I swear to God, his legs seemed like big as round as me, And so I just got out of the way. He low that hip, and I knew he was coming. I was like, nope, I'm not eating that leg kick. It ain't happening. So kickboxing, we went back and forth and everything. I just, kept my distance and tried to stay away. And then the MMA round hit, and he come in, he threw his kick. I hit double leg and took him down and got on top. And and afterwards, he's like, I need this, don't I? I was like, yeah. I was like, cause I was, your kickboxing's better than mine. It absolutely is. You've been doing it a lot longer than I have. And I said, but what happens, you know, when you get somebody like that, you get the Division I wrestler or something like that, and takes you down. All that kicking and everything just goes out the door, and being able to lock somebody up and be able to defend yourself still, on the ground, is a very important factor in in life, really, especially as crazy it is in the world.
What in the MMA training at the academy there, like how much of it is karate?
I don't teach my karate. We blend it up. Um, like I said, I've got Mr. Fisher, who is karate black belt, taekwondo black belt. He's jiu-jitsu black belt. And been training a long, long time, like long as I'm been alive, pretty much. Doing martial arts, and so we our MMA training is it is focus on MMA. We're working on we work on combinations with our hands to set up if we want to take them down, or we were working on, especially if we got somebody fighting, what's our game plan, if we're leaning that wise, or just working on just combinations, head movements, just putting it all together and stuff. I just my like I said, my background, originally was karate, and then I got to work, with I've been blessed. I've got to work with champion boxers. I've been Krav Maga black belts, judo black belts, taekwondo black belts. I used to spar one of my friends. When he was younger, he went to Korea and won gold in Taekwondo over in Korea. So the
Oh, wow.
place rated it, you know. Yeah, he's my buddy Matt. He's amazing. I imagine he probably still can to this day. Like he could be nose to nose with you and could bring his leg up and put you axe kick you from like just that close. And
Uh,
so it's always fun.
what what would you say that jujitsu has done for your life, like your personal life over the years?
It's jujitsu has helped me, and I know so many others. Like my students say it all the time, and it's it gives you an avenue. Like you can have bad days, and you can take that negative bad days and turn it into a positive. Like you can use that negative energy and like, okay, you know, especially like some days I've had some of my students do it, and I've had to do it, and turn around and say, hey, I need to roll hard, I need to spar hard, whatever, I'm like, okay, I got you. And then turn around and just, and we beat the hell out of each other, for 5 minutes or a couple rounds, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. And then afterwards, I'm like, you feel better? I'm like, yeah, I feel better. And you can take that frustration and aggravation and then just, it goes away. When you get on the mats, like people that have never done it before, it is mind blowing because you can turn around and you can go, man, I don't want to go. And I've been there 1,000 times. Man, I don't want to go today. I'm tired. I need to do this. I need to do that. I got all this stuff I need to do. All this is coming down on me. And then you're like, forget it. I'm going. And you get in there. And as soon as after you get done with class, you're like, man, I feel so much better. I'm so thankful I came because you can release some of that, that excess baggage energy. You still have this, of course, in the real world, you still have your stuff you got to do and if you're whatever, but you're able to use some of that negative energy, turn it into a positive. And I think that's an important part of martial arts and jujitsu and and all of it. You can have that, and for the ones, hey, we don't want to do jujitsu, and like that's what a lot of guys lift weights and stuff, that if they got a bad day, and they're like, I just go in there, I'll just and knock out, do some deadlifts or whatever. So it's important to, and especially for all health, especially for men's health, because a lot of men like to hold stuff in. They hold all their emotions in because, that's what we're taught for ever and ever. You're not supposed to let anything out. So that way it kind of, all right, we got all this built in. We can release it in a positive way, and you don't have to explain nothing to anybody. You can just let all the aggression and all the anger out, beat on a punching bag or like say roll hard or spar hard or whatever. And afterwards, like I said, you can really truly, you feel like that weight's lifted. And I've had so many people come up to me, and I've had students, parents and stuff come up to me and tell me, man, you saved my child, you saved my son's life or whatever, or whoever, because, they didn't have nothing positive to focus on or nothing. They had this negative energy, they just had this anger, and they had no way to release it. And so now they have them, a place they can go, they can, and have fun, work really hard. You can get in shape and, and learn life lessons. And
So in essence, if anybody, whether it be a kid or an adult, if they're going through something, whether it's anger about a divorce, about whatever, or sadness, you lost somebody or whatever, you can almost say, go try out jujitsu right now and it'll help you.
absolutely.
What do you think about it is helping people learn how to get through adversity and change negative energy into positive energy in some way, some kind of positive energy?
I mean, you have to in the jujitsu world and stuff like that, and as you train and as you're rolling, you gotta learn how to um, get out of bad predicaments, and you also had to learn how to okay, hey, I'm in a bad position. Don't start flailing around, and that's when people like snatch arm bars or whatever. You get caught because you're flailing around and you're panicking, and then you turn around and as you grow and you learn. And you learned how to, okay, let me be patient. All right, I know I'm in a bad position, but if I'm patient and count my options, okay, if I go here, I can do this. I can, if all right, I come out, I can do this sweep. And it's just like in life. If you just panic and you're throwing, flailing around, in life,
Yeah.
you, you know, you're going to be in disarray. But if you turn around and okay, let me go focus. Let me calm down. Okay, let me see. All right, let me knock out these little things. We all do that. Stuff over life overwhelms us, and so okay, let me do this. Let me do this. Let me do that, and that way, and then you slowly get that progression, and just like I said, the same thing with jujitsu. Like, okay, somebody's on my back. All right, I gotta get the hooks off my legs. All right, and I need to defend my neck. I need to, I do this. I need to. Okay, I'm turning here, and have an understanding, and then later on as you grow you'll get that muscle memory and everything, but it really does teach you how to prevail and work on being in uncomfortable positions, uncomfortable situations, and thrive in it. When I built my whole jiu-jitsu
Have the
career,
entire thing, the whole entire experience of a rolling is an uncomfortable experience and is an uncomfortable thing.
you
You're
can't
you're
be.
struggling. It's a constant struggle.
Especially when you first start out. I mean, it is. I mean, all of a sudden, and especially, I mean, I've had people come in that I've trained with over the years, Um, and I've rolled with triathletes and watched them run out of gas. And they're like, I was like, "What are you doing? You're 10 years younger than me, and you're a triathlete. How are you running out of gas? Come on!" And then help them explain, like, "Okay, look, you're not breathing at certain points and stuff, but you
Um,
know, you're you're pushing yourself, and um, and it's like that push pull, and as you're moving and all that stuff, it's just you know, it, you learn, you learn to adapt, you know.
it's like you have to accept the situation because if you don't accept it and figure out how to get out of the situation, it could get a lot worse. Being choked
Oh,
out,
absolutely.
more pain, physical
Just like
pain.
the real world, if you don't.
Yeah. So instead of dwelling on the negative, you have to
And
accept it and figure it out. I mean, I guess that's what we naturally do in life is dwelling on the negative and not forcing ourselves to figure out a way how to get through something.
mm,
Um, I guess jujitsu kind of trains your mind on trains your mind to for that to be the norm. Um, figuring out accepting the situation and figuring out how to get out of it. That can be I mean, that can be applied to day-to-day things, situations. I mean, like being late for a meeting, whatever. There's all kind of stressful situations throughout the day. So yeah.
absolutely.
Why do you think people love it there at the academy? What's special about it?
For our academy is, it's more, try more like a family and stuff like that. If I don't feel like family, I can't do it. Like when I first started training, it was like doing karate back in the day. It was like one of my best friends. His uncle was our instructor. His dad was in it. His brother was in it. Actually, both of his brothers at one point. And like it was a family, and we just beat each other up, but it was a family. And it's so that to the point of that now, like it's the same thing. It's like I actually have to truly care for me. I was like, I truly got to care for the people that are there, and they have to have that care back, and it shows. And you know, it makes a difference, you know, it's a different vibe, you know. I know some gyms and there's like I said, there's nothing wrong with them. They're, you know, they're more business, um, competition, pure competition, you know, kind of thing, you know, and or they're just pure business, like, okay, you know, it is, you know, you can be here, you don't, I don't care, whatever, you know, and just, you know, ain't the best business, man. I won't lie. I'm not going to be because I'm, you know, I'm going. That's why it's all heart. It's going to be. We're always leading with our heart. We're always going to be leading forward, and you know, and we're here to, you know, bring people, you know, together and have, you know, this friendship and bondship, and you know, and have a learning skill that you can take with us forever, and just have fun and enjoy life, you know, and when it's time to get serious, it's time to get serious. You know, we got fights or something like that. You know, we get serious, but it's still we're doing it out of love and pushing each other. You know, there's no big egos. I mean, truly, you know, there's not a whole lot of that, none of that stuff like that. You know, like I say, it's a more
One
family
kind of
type.
fight.
Yeah.
Um, to wrap it up, what would you say to somebody who's thinking about getting into jujitsu, or getting their kid in? What would you say that, jujitsu could do for them or their kid?
Truly, you know, for sure, get your kids into it just because of the way this world is. It can give, you know, for some self discipline and, you know, and camaraderie, you know, especially nowadays, a lot of people have kids that are homeschooled, and so they don't have that interaction with other kids and stuff like that. So there's a good avenue. Another thing is, you know, like, you know, a lot of people play sports. You know, sports are seasonal. Jiu-jitsu's all year long. So there's something you can actually do all year long with them and have them into something all year long. I have some of my students, you know, they disappear for a little bit because it's, you know, it's baseball season or football season, and they come back after that, you know,
Yeah.
and it happens, which is fine, you know, and good. I'm glad that, you know, I love doing sports. I played everything. I played basketball, soccer, baseball, softball, anything I can get my hands on, I played myself. So when I was a kid, so it's good. And, and it's good, like I said, I mean, for, you know, for the adults. And then, like I said, if you can do it and it's a cool opportunity, like if you both can do it, like if your parents can do it, the parents and the kids, you know, so like when they're at home, they can sit there and well, they can play around and stuff at home and work the technique. You know, I know parents that do that, and they'll buy their own little, you know, wrestling mats where they can fold out or puzzle piece
Yeah.
mats, and then where the kids can play around and stuff like that. You know, it's a good bonding moment. You know, you're getting your kid, you're
Sure.
disconnecting off the tablets and the technology, you know, you're giving them life skills, and the same with the, you know, the adults. You know, you disconnect from, you know, the technology and all that stuff where everybody's got their smartphone in their hand and, or watching the TV or whatever, and the big thing is just, you know, if you wanna do it, do it. Let's do it. You know, it's, um, especially since 2020 and all that stuff happened, you know, with the pandemic. Almost said pandemic, um, and and everything. It gave me a new skew of really life and everything. It's like, man, life's too short, you know, and it really is. So if you're gonna do it, let's do it. You know, all right, you know, you can only put off. You know, there's a bunch. I know there's some songs and stuff like talking about that. You know, you can only put it off till tomorrow until it's, you know, it's not till you can't, you know, you can only put off something tomorrow, you know,
Yeah.
and while you're able to, and physically able to, let's do it. You know, I know I have friends and they're like, and I've had people come up to me like, why do you still, you know, why do you still train? Why do you still spar? And I was cause I can. I'll be 47 next month. Cause I can. And cause I know there's people who would love to be able to do what I do.
Mhm.
Because, like, physically, you know, they might be in a wheelchair or they might be
Yeah.
this and that, Um, Actually, I'm gonna give you a connection for, it won't be a gym, but there's a lady I want you to talk to if you want to, and her name's Whitney, Lavender. She's, Miss Wheelchair Tennessee, and she has double amputee legs, but she started training jujitsu. Where my gym is upstairs. It's on the second thing, and so there's no and so I was sitting there, and then she's like, "Hey," her and her boyfriend say, "Hey, I want to come train." I've known her boyfriend Jamie forever, and I was like, "Come on, I don't care." And we got down there, and I was like, "Hey, how we're gonna figure this one?" I was like, "Here, you can, do a seatbelt on my back. I'll carry you up the stairs." And she's like, "No, I got it." And she pushed herself and went all the way up them stairs,
Oh,
by herself. That's the kind of determination, and
yeah.
goes around like, she goes hunting. She does everything. It's amazing. But
Wow. How
so
inspiring. Good grief.
yeah,
Yeah.
it really is, and yeah, she really is. So it's one of them things like I know a lady who has no legs doing jujitsu. So that any excuses. I know my friend Ralph, who started at 62 and is 70 right now, still competing. All the excuses you can throw out the door. I know somebody is in worse shape, most likely, and are still trying to do it. The big thing, is, you know, can you keep up with that 19-year-old, buzzsaw? No, you know, no, you can't. It's okay. You know, it's all right. Just go in there and have fun and do you, and the biggest thing, the other thing I always try to tell everybody that comes in is like, your only competition is against yourself. Don't be like, well, I can't beat them. Who cares? They might have been
Yeah.
training longer. They might be 20 years younger than you and just a freak athlete. I have some of them in there in the gym. I got one young man. He's like 250 pounds, 6 foot, and he can move like he's 180 pounds. He's
Mm.
freak of nature. Can't keep up with that. He's got the power and the agility.
Yeah. Both.
It is what it is, but that don't mean you can't grow and still do good and learn. And it's all about your journey. And what I always tell everybody, that, especially after like they've been doing it for a while, and they're like, well, I don't feel. I said, number one, could you beat up the person that you were 6 months ago or wherever you started? Are you better than you were when you first started? It's like, oh yeah, like that's what matters. It's you,
Mhm.
it's your journey. And it is a journey. It's not a destination. Like even when if you want to get a black belt, awesome. It don't stop there. It's a journey. It continues to grow. And like when I got my black belt, and then when I received my black belt back in 21, and then I like completely humbled myself, started thinking about things like there are people who's had a black belt longer than I've been training, or they had a black belt longer than I've been alive.
Mm.
I'm like, I'm a baby black belt. That's what I was doing. I was talking about, I'm a baby black belt. I'm on the bottom now. Start it over. And it's that humility, the good thing about the jujitsu. Because some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail, some days you're the wood. It is what it is. But you just still go in there and try and have fun. And even like I said, for me, I like it. Some days my timing is off and whatever. I'm like, today is defense day. Oh well, I'm gonna work on my defense because
Okay.
my offense is off, my timing's off. I'm gonna
Sure.
work on
Yeah.
defense today. It is what it is, And that's how the mentality. Like, okay, I can work on something. I can get better. I can get that 1% better. I can get that little step, and I promise you, if you start and keep pushing yourself, you're gonna hit little plateaus, and everybody does it. And then one day you can go boop. You're gonna pop out the top of that plateau and go, wow, I'm tapping this person I never tapped before. I can do these moves. Everything's clicking. Everything is old, and everything's working right. And it happens. And
Because most
uh,
of it's mental, right?
a lot of it's mental. It really is. You know,
Yeah. Muscle memory, that kind of thing.
it's muscle memory and just humility. And understanding like, hey, I need to need to grow. I need to learn. Like I've had 250-pound college kids walk in, and I had a 120-pound blue belt tap them, arm bar them, and all of a sudden I heard tap, 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 and I turn around and look, and the guy's standing up, and, little Aiden's sitting there arm barring them, you know, and humbling this, big monster of a dude, and
Wow.
we've had a bunch of people come in, and like, you can tell they lift weights and they work out, and then like, huh, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
and then they get smashed, it's, s and they see that, hey, muscles and strength and all that is great, when you have what should I tell a lot of them? I said, once you get technique, I said, you're going to be hell. I said, you already got the size and the agility and the strength. I said, once you put technique with that, you're going to be a monster. I said, just keep working, keep being patient, once you put the full package together, because some people aren't that way, some aren't gifted and, physically strong and physically, an absolute athlete. I know me personally, I had to work for everything I had to do, I had to work double hard, try to push myself, to get myself to where I am.
Well, thanks for being on, man. I really loved your story. I would love for you to be on again. Maybe you can give us like a tour of the place or something.
Yeah. We can do that sometime, for sure. Like I said, I'm in there in Senatobia, Mississippi. I'm up
Not like
above.
there's anything wrong with your background at all. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Best
Yeah,
background so far ever.
we
Seriously.
appreciate it. Yeah, I'm inside. Where I'm at is actually a Fitness 2000, where they have a weight gym, and then they do all kinds of programs like Taebo and kickboxing classes, cardio kickboxings and all kinds of stuff
Got it.
like
Got it.
that. So that's all downstairs, and then we're upstairs up above it, So it's a pretty
Got it.
cool platform because like for our gym, and like if somebody wanted to be interested in coming on, like even the parents, well, I don't want to do jujitsu. Well, we got Connie downstairs got Taebo classes, and you can do hip hop dance classes and all kinds of stuff like that. So you could be doing that while the kids upstairs training, and you're down there dancing and having fun and still getting in shape. So,
Yeah,
um,
that's really cool. Wow.
but, but yeah, that's it's
But
fun.
um, well, what was I gonna say? Tell me the podcast name again. Your podcast.
It's Ricky. Anything is possible.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna
on
write it down.
YouTube and Spotify. What it might be, some of it might be still say AIP. Anything is possible. Some of it I got switched over. Um,
Got it.
but like you put Ricky Pike, and anything is possible. Between the two of them, you'll find me on Spotify. I'm on all the favorite programs, Apple, and all that kind of stuff. And then I live stream on Rumble and YouTube and Twitch and a few others. But it's fun. Sundays I've been doing a paranormal show, so I've had ghost hunters and stuff come on, and
Oh wow.
yeah, and
That's right up my alley. Seriously.
yeah, Sunday live stream is more paranormal. Try to keep politics out of it on Sundays, and which I've been pretty blessed. I've had several ghost hunters come on, and then Wednesdays we a little bit of everything, matters what's going on, but like a lot of more, some days more politics, whatever's going on, current events, or I call the show "Talking with Conspiracy," and we just have fun with it, and I got a really good guest coming on soon. He got a whole bunch of stuff on Epstein list stuff and everything.
Mm.
He's actually been to the island kind of thing, so it's
Oh wow.
like invaded it and got arrested for it.
Really?
So yeah, really. So I got that coming up real
What a
soon.
freaking guest. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Cool.
it's gonna be fun stuff, and yeah, on my Wednesdays, I always like, even if we get like real serious about politics, like the war and all that kind of stuff. At the
Mhm.
end, I always do feel good videos, so I'll do like cat videos or just positive
To bring
videos.
people back up.
Yeah. Like I said, I believe in balance, and so if I brought you real down low, I'm at the end. Like a lot of people sticks around, like, man, I'm just waiting on the video, I'm waiting on the cat videos. I'm like, all right. or the possum or a raccoon or whatever in the world I find, through the week. So I have fun with it. Been doing it for about 3 years now, so it's been fun.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out. Well, thank you so much, man. I hope you have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon. And yeah, hopefully you can be on again. And I hope everybody checks out your podcast as well.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thank you so much, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Bye bye.